Welcome to Fresh Off the Set. I'm Carrie Hawker-Diaz.
And I'm Brooke Mangum. Thanks so much for listening. We know that you guys have a choice. There's lots of choices out there, and we're so glad that you chose to listen to us.
Yes, we appreciate you. Okay, today we are talking with someone very accomplished, wouldn't you say?
Yes, and also like tiny little body, huge presence, right?
Yes, tiny but mighty. David talked with UVU president Astrid. Should we just give it a listen?
Yep, let's go to school.
Welcome to Fresh Off the Set. This is David Osmond, and I'm so honored today to chat with a dear friend, someone who is a powerhouse in our community here in Utah and the world, Astrid Tuminez. She is incredible. She's the president of Utah Valley University and the first female president, and we're honored to have her on this program today. Thank you for listening. And Astrid, thank you for taking the time because I know you're so busy. Your schedule's crazy.
It's my pleasure to be on your show. Thank you for having me.
It's awesome. I know we've crossed paths a whole bunch in different formats, different venues and events, and everybody that comes across your path, as I've heard from so many people, to know Astrid is to love her. You've really made such an impact on our community and the world, and it's an honor to talk to you on today's program. And for those that are just kind of hearing your name maybe the first time, wanted to give a little bit of background about where you come from, a little bit of your life experience, and what brought you all the way to Utah, now in the capacity as president of the university, Utah Valley University. You started out as a young child in the Philippines. Tell us a little bit about your background, because education is paramount in your life. Growing up in the Philippines,
Absolutely.
Were there certain subjects in school, like teachers, that made a lasting impression? What was it that drew you to the education world?
So I was born in a farming village called Pali in the province of Iloilo in the Philippines. And then I was raised from the ages of 2 to 14 in the slums of Iloilo City. I literally lived in a hut made of bamboo and nipa grass in the sea. So it was when it was high tide, the house was literally in the sea.
No way.
And education, way. Yes, way. So, I had 6 siblings, so 7 of us living in this hut with no electricity, no running water, no books, no television or radio, no technology of any kind. And what really changed the trajectory of my life was education. When I was 5 years old, nuns from an order called the Daughters of Charity were doing service work in the slums and found my family and gave us an opportunity to go to school for free in their convent school. And I was a very staunch Catholic at the time. And I was not literate. I didn't know numbers or letters. And my favorite subject really was reading from the very beginning. Reading was magical in 100 different ways because I realized that there was a world that I could understand, a world of imagination, plants, animals, romance novels, detective novels. And I read everything.
I remember hearing you share a little bit years ago. You made an impression on me. I think you said Dr. Seuss and Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys, but then the romance novels, like really having this new world of being literate just opened up your mind and your heart to so many cool new ideas.
Yes, and I think what it is every human being has imagination. But if the imagination isn't fed, it kind of grows stagnant. And so reading was really just a discovery that I loved words, that I loved poetry. I remember my freshman year of high school, we had to copy the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock, a gigantic long poem by T.S. Eliot. And we had no copy machines. The school was not like an American school, even though it was a very good school. We had to copy that poem by hand, and I think it changed my life. To this day, I can recite a good chunk of that poem.
That's wonderful. And you love words, this education. And in your life, you have lived so many places. To go from that little village in the Philippines to the convent where the nuns brought you in, educated you, and then ultimately coming over to the United States at a young age, that must have presented some crazy challenges. It had to have. So what were some of the biggest adjustments that you had to make those experiences that influenced your life on education and the opportunities that came along?
Yes, so I moved to the United States when I was 18 years old to attend Brigham Young University after I'd already had 3 semesters of college at the University of the Philippines. So that transition in many ways is extremely exciting because it felt to me like the entire world had opened by bringing me to the United States. And for the first time in my life, just to have running water. I lived with my sister in Orem, and she was married, and there was carpet on her floor. Her apartment, now in hindsight, was not very nice at all. But to me, it was like the doors of heaven had opened because there was running water. I had a bed for the first time in my life.
Unreal.
I could shower whenever I wanted for the first time in my life. Of course, I was homesick for the Philippines, but the homesickness was really very manageable because of this excitement of living a life where, there was food and electricity and water, and it just felt so incredibly luxurious. And I didn't understand why not all BYU students were straight A students, given that they had electricity and lighting, I just couldn't understand it. They should all be straight A students.
The perspective you must have, like, well, yeah, just what are you complaining about? You know how blessed you are, like those first world problems we talk about.
Incredible.
Like, my goodness, what a great perspective and angle that you have. You one of 7 kids, I understand, is that what you said? Big family growing in Philly. Did
7,
any of your
and
siblings?
Eventually an 8th.
Oh, there's 8.
Sorry, yeah, I have a half brother and a half sister, so I have 9 siblings total.
Have mercy. Sounds like the Osmond family. I got a whole bunch of siblings as well.
But I grew up with a 6.
Never a dull moment, right? Did any of your siblings, were they able to follow suit, have those opportunities? Did they follow education route as well?
All of my siblings, except for one, have a college degree, and the one that doesn't have a college degree is arguably the most creative of my siblings. If you see me wearing a fancy gown, she made that gown.
No way. That's so great.
Yeah. So she's the most creative. The rest of us had to go to college, but I'm the only one who went all the way. In part because my opportunities were different.
Yeah.
I came to the United States as an 18-year-old, got a scholarship to Harvard, got a scholarship to MIT. So I went all the way with my master's and PhD.
Level of experience, opportunity, but your achievement, it took a lot of work and drive and just who you are. It says a lot about you. And when you went to Harvard and those experiences, that's kind of where life even changed for you personally. That's where you met your husband, I understand. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yes. I was a resident tutor at Mather House, and Jeffrey Tolk, my husband, was a senior there. And you're not allowed to date seniors, but he was graduating, went to Harvard Law School. So yes, I met my husband there, and it opened a different America to me.
Yeah.
I honestly went through severe cultural kind of discombobulation because I thought America was Utah. And then I go to the East Coast, Cambridge, Massachusetts, and I get out of bed and I go, am I still in America?
Oh my gosh. To go from the hut in the Philippines to the States, world. Electricity, running water, and then to leave this hut of Utah and go and experience other cultures. Your story, the experiences you've had are just so cool and fascinating. I love that you get the opportunity and have the platform to come on places like our show, but also to represent an entire university. You have such a great perspective, but also you're just a real person. I know that in your spare time, I understand you love running and you love dancing and traveling. Like what hobbies do you have apart from education? Because that's your life. But if you have just a free day to just say chill, what does Astrid do?
So the most important thing I do as a hobby is probably reading. At any given moment, I'm probably reading 20 books.
Wow.
I finish almost all of them. So just reading. So currently, for example, last night I just finished a graphic novel about basketball, and I just finished a play by Martin McDonagh, the Irish playwright. Brutal play. I've seen some of his plays on Broadway. Brutal. But so I'm reading a lot. Running, I started late in life. I was 44 years old 45 when I started running, and then I've run 1 marathon and 10 half marathons at this point. Dancing, I just dance, as they say, like nobody's looking. I just find dancing, flailing my arms. The dance I mentioned earlier with Ryan DeLello, that was the first time I'd ever done that kind of dance.
Oh, really? Right,
where
awesome.
You have a partner.
And I understand.
I've never done it. You have to look good.
You mentioned dance like nobody's watching, but I understand you dancing was actually one of the reasons why your husband took notice, he was watching. Is that kind of where the connection was? I heard a little bit of a background where he's like, who is this girl? Who's at Harvard dancing and having fun? Is that right?
So Jeff asked me out on a date, and we stopped at a gas station to fill the car, and Madonna was playing, I think, one of the Madonna songs, and I just started dancing, and he was so blown away that someone who was a graduate student at Harvard would be so uninhibited that he would just be dancing at a gas station.
Love it.
So I think that kind of sealed the deal for him.
You have a natural joie de vivre, like just awesome. You love life. You love to learn. You got novels you're reading constantly. Any of those, are they any romance novels? Because that was always like a thing that you love to gravitate towards. Is that something you still read?
No, those romance novels were so bad, but they're so bad because I'm a feminist. I believe in empowered women, but those novels were so bad. But when I was 12 and 13, they were everything to me. Because the heroine was always like some small woman, and the man was always some tall man, and so in your head you have this, fantasizing. But yeah, I outgrew them. The Barbara Cartland novels, nobody even knows what they are anymore.
It gives you...
But it's just a way, again, it's all imagination.
Gives you perspective, again, just both sides of the coin. You're able to step back and see what reality is. And you've taken your experience in academia, also in the corporate world, because you've been in leadership positions that way. How have all of these experiences in your life helped shape your approach to how you now run a university? You have such vast experience, of course, and knowledge and a continuous education, but now you're running this big organization, and it's a successful approach that you've been doing, just really shaking a lot of the standards of what we see, how to do this. It's really impressive, and so many people are taking notice. How has your history in academia and corporate world shaped that?
Yeah, so I've worked 10 years in the corporate world. Just prior to coming to UVU, I was the regional director for corporate, external, and legal affairs for Microsoft, overseeing government affairs, all of the lawyers, and also all of the philanthropic work in 15 countries in Southeast and South Asia. And then I also have 4 years on Wall Street with AIG Global Investment, where I did venture capital for biotechnology. So when I look at my work at UVU as a university president, I actually think this is the best job for someone like me with a PhD, and I've published in peer-reviewed journals, and I've published a book, while I also have 10 years in the corporate world. What do I mean by that? The corporate world is very different in the levels of accountability expected. It's quite merciless in the corporate world.
Yeah.
If you're not producing, you're dead, you're out. The corporate world is also better with technology. So that's another thing I've brought to UVU. I think I brought a different level of accountability, performance development, feedback giving. I'm the only president in Utah with a vice president for digital transformation. And we hired that person just around the time COVID started. So think about it. We were prepared strategically. And then now with AI, I think we are ahead of other universities and colleges. So what I love about academia, the best part of it is, thoughtfulness, really appreciating knowledge, really appreciating teaching, really appreciating research. And so to combine the carefulness of the academic world, the historical tradition, with a more agile, technologically advanced, and more accountable practices, the bottom line of the corporate world, I think that combination has really proven to be quite helpful here at UVU. We have 44,653 students who depend on us. Our resources are meager, and we have to do more with less. And so my background has prepared me to lead in this kind of setting.
You are the right person for the job, and what a leader. You mentioned AI, and it is our ever-changing landscape right now in our world. With technology advancing that rapidly, what role do you see that playing in the future of education, especially at UVU, and adapting to these changes in our world? What do you think?
Yes. So about 6 months ago, we created an AI task force. The task force has completed its work, and we are asking two central questions. One is, how can AI improve the student experience, and how can AI improve our operations? Where can we make things quicker, faster, more pleasant to experience, more delightful to experience? So this is the first question. The second question is, how do we tweak our own academic offerings? So the answer to the second question is we are launching more credentials now in applied AI. You don't have to create AI. You have to know how to use it, whatever industry you're working in. It doesn't matter if you're a teacher, social worker, surgeon, engineer. You have to know how to use AI. And the first question on improving the student experience, that's everything from enrolling, dropping your classes, paying your fees, finding out if you're falling behind. How do we get early warning? How do we have a TA, a teaching assistant, 24 hours a day? We've already piloted that in 5 courses. We call it TA in a box. So it works 24/7. You cannot ask it out on a date because it's AI, but it can do so many things for you.
Yeah.
And what we plan to do is launch that TA in a box in our 30 most enrolled courses at UVU.
Very cool. Amazing. Our world is changing, and as you take those tools, you can actually augment that experience. And I can tell that you're taking the reins and running forward. So kudos to you in making that possible for the students.
And also, David, I want to add that training for faculty is critical.
Okay.
If your faculty doesn't understand how to use something, or they're afraid to use something, they won't use it. I have 2 paintings hanging in my office by one of our professors, Brandon Truscott, and he made these 2 paintings using AI, and it took more than 100 iterations to get every single aspect, detail on this painting perfect. So that you need your faculty absolutely involved.
Takes a village to make it happen, and everybody has to play their part. And you create that culture. It starts at the top, and everyone has to collaborate together. And that's kind of been a recurring theme of your career, is collaboration. How do you go about at UVU to make that the norm in the culture?
So to make that the norm, I think I started with core values in 2018 when I was a very new president. And we defined those values as 3 things: exceptional care, exceptional accountability, and exceptional results. We have to care for each other. We have to care for the mission. But caring is never enough. You have to expect accountability. You have to have hard conversations. And then exceptional results. Great results happen when you connect the dots, when you collaborate, when you know that the sum of the parts, the whole, is greater than just every individual part. So it's still a work in progress, but at UVU, we point out, who needs to connect with whom for great things to happen. And a lot of the really good work is interdisciplinary, or it will involve advancement in academic affairs. And there are many examples of that happening on campus. So yes, it really begins with values. Then you find the people and create the culture that will create the operations that will make those values real in how you do things, what you measure, and, what you get done at the end of the day.
Yeah. I can tell, Astrid, that you just absolutely love what you do. You're doing what you love what you do. You light up a room when you come into it. And when we talk about the university, I can see your eyes light up. What is it for you that is your favorite part of the job of being president of Utah Valley University?
That's an easy one to answer. My absolute favorite is being with students. So that's the reason I do things with them. I show up for the arts. I show up for a ton of athletics. I walk around with my pom-poms.
Yeah,
I give out candy on the first day of school. I attend their parties. I just play dodgeball at the end of the year in the dark with glow-in-the-dark lighting.
Oh, my
I
gosh. Did you dominate? I bet you're amazing.
Yeah, we won the first round, and then I danced with them here in the courtyard till past midnight. I love being with students. I just feel that they are truly the future without exaggerating. They are the future, and the experiences we can give them here at UVU will shape them into the adults that they become for the rest of their lives.
Cool. When you stepped into this role as president of Utah Valley University, was there something that just totally surprised you or was unexpected that took you by surprise?
Yes, I was very surprised at how many people were afraid for me and nervous for me and kept warning me about the large shoes that I had to fill.
Yeah.
That was only true in the first 3 to 6 months. I think people were not used to seeing a little, a short, tiny woman with black hair just take command of a room or actually get things done.
Yes, ma'am.
And I just got a lot of that from donors, leaders, even one student who walked up to me after a basketball game and said, I never thought someone who looked like you could have power. And then I suddenly realized that this was more than a job. I mean, this was hugely symbolic for everybody who never imagined themselves being successful or having power.
You are making new paths, carving new things, inspiring a new generation. It's so cool. And the Utah Valley University is truly a great place to be. What do you think the best thing is about UVU, and why should future students consider it as if they're looking at enrolling?
Yes, the best thing about UVU is the invitation that we send out, which is come as you are. UVU is a place for you. We're open admission, so anybody of any age, of any background, we don't judge you. You could come here. Secondly, we support you. We have a surround sound system. If you need food, we have the food pantry. We have math tutoring. We have the reading, and writing lab. We have an army of advisors. So we provide support. We accept you, but don't leave you to sink or swim. We support you. And third and finally, we are very ambitious and achieve great results. Completion has gone up 10% in the last 5 years. We have built 4 new buildings and have a brand new house museum. We beat BYU twice in basketball 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
We have fun. And we work hard. Yeah. And that is how life should be. We are not judging you. And we want you to be your own hero in the journey that is life and work and education.
There's a great vibe at the school of the Wolverines, the grit that you have, of course. You guys are stepping up. You're really representing the state in an incredible way. As you look back at your life, Astrid, you've done so many incredible things, and you're just getting started. I know you've got so much more to do, but if you could go back to that little girl in that village in the Philippines, give yourself some advice to your younger self, what would it be? What would you say?
If I were to go back to my 20-year-old self as a BYU student, I would say, be fearless. Don't create too much room in life for fear, because fear is really not a great or sustainable emotion. And when I was younger, I was afraid of starving. I was afraid of being poor. I was afraid of not getting married. I was afraid of not being successful. I was afraid of not getting straight A's. There was a lot of fear. Whereas I think if you set that aside and you just say, I believe in myself. I believe in what I'm capable of doing right here, right now. I can just breathe in peace and just do this. And, whatever the outcome, nothing is ever the end. So less fear, more, pat yourself on the back. You made it through a day, another day. Pat yourself on the back and say, hurrah, hurrah, tomorrow I'll start again.
Amen. Oh my gosh, I got goosebumps. I have a ring. It says endure to the end. I changed it so that I can live it. Endure to the end of the day. Just keep going, right? Just keep pushing. You are a walking inspiration. You read so much. You have things on your walls like you talked about. Do you have like an inner motto, a mantra, piece of wisdom that you tell yourself all the time that you would live by or you want to impart to those that are listening?
There are 2 things that, I've said to myself almost daily for years now. One is no mud, no lotus. And that's very Buddhist. No mud, no lotus. The lotus comes from mud. So it comes from the difficult things, the struggles, our moments of doubt. So that's one thing that I say to myself almost every day. And then Another mantra. I mean, this is a bit longer, but I remind myself that I'm of the nature to grow old. I'm of the nature to get sick. I'm of the nature to die. So there's nothing to be afraid of. I started doing that, like 20 years ago, and it keeps me honest at the end of the day. It really does keep me honest. I'm going to grow old. I'm going to get sick. I'm going to die. So just look at that. Every moment is an incredible moment. And I have to, love it, be grateful for it. and do my best. And no mud, no lotus. Lotus is going to come out of every difficult thing.
I love that. I thought you were also going to quote the T.S. Eliot big poem that you still have memorized. That might be something to go on.
I do.
That's amazing.
Let us go then, you and I. It begins with that. When the evening is spread out against the sky, like a patient etherized upon a table. It goes on and on.
Oh, that's beautiful. You are such a joy to talk to, Astrid. It's such a pleasure to know you, to watch you and see how you're inspiring new generations of kids that are up and coming. That you're the butterfly effect right here in front of us. We're so grateful. But before we wrap up and maybe say goodbye on this, is there anything at UVU, like an upcoming event or a project that you're particularly excited about that you'd love to mention? Anything coming up?
Yes, on September 28th, we will have our Presidential Scholarship Ball. This is an annual event, and anybody shows up. We transform the UCCU Center into a grand ballroom, and it's gorgeous, and it's beautiful, and we have a 5-course meal catered by the culinary arts, and all evening long, we dance, we tell stories, and we raise money for scholarships. Every dollar raised goes to scholarships. So that's the next big event, September 28th. Please buy your tickets if you haven't done so already.
Everybody who's anybody is going to be there, like you said. And you might even be there with Ryan Derillo dancing. So you never know what's going to happen.
I don't know. We'll see.
You're amazing. 44,000 plus students on the rise, Utah Valley University. You're making your mark. We're so excited, so honored to have you on this podcast. I really appreciate you, Astrid, and look forward to all the stuff coming up and everything you're doing. However we can support you, please let us know.
Thank you, David, and all the best to all your listeners. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you. We're big fans. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much. Thanks for your time, Astrid.
Congrats, you made it to the end. If you want to continue to freshen up your day, you can watch us on Fresh Living every weekday on CBS Channel 2 in Utah at 1 o'clock. You can also watch us on our YouTube channel, KUTV Fresh Living, and follow us on social media. We will see you next week.